negotiations don't happen in isolation. While Ottawa negotiates with Washington, Canada's premiers are trying to negotiate with each other. The question is whether they can finally align around a national economic strategy. The premiers are gathered in Charlottetown, facing pressure to demonstrate unity on trade, infrastructure, and economic resilience. Regional priorities remain sharply different, raising doubts about whether Canada can present a coherent front during high-stake negotiations.
Well, it's amazing, Eddie, that this meeting happened this week, and just as they were gathering in Charlottetown for the meeting, that the U.S. president dumps the 50% tariff threat on the table, which very quickly changed the whole tone of that meeting. Now, coming out of it today, they did talk about healthcare funding and looking for more money from Ottawa for healthcare funding. That was one of the big ones that they discussed. But also top of mind was the impact of the 50% tariff threats that Trump has hurled at Canada. One other thing, too, is 9 of the provinces and territories combined signed a letter this week which brings down the interprovincial trade barriers related to ordering alcohol from different jurisdictions across the country. That's now gone. It took almost a full year from the time they've removed some of the other interprovincial trade barriers last year to get this deal in place. Only Quebec didn't sign it.
Right.
Which I find interesting, and I'm going to be looking. I haven't had a chance to look and find out as to why Quebec did not sign it.
Frechette of Quebec and Yukon said yes, but at a later time or something to that effect.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Now I recall. But why they said at a later time, I'm not sure. To me, as a matter of fact, if you look online, a lot of distillers in Western Canada have been advertising and saying that they're shipping east for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
So if it comes in an unmarked box and you don't have to declare anything, I guess, what's to stop you from doing it? But anyway, it's now going to be legal because technically, when it was set up before, it was illegal to bring like even a 2-4 of beer from one province to another in the trunk of your car. Anyhow, we're slowly moving into the 21st century in areas like that, but there are so many other things still that need to come down to bolster our economy as one Canadian economy. So that's, that part of it. The other part, labor mobility. That has been a stumbling block, especially between Quebec and other provinces in particular. Why not get, I don't understand why it has taken so long to start getting your act together to have a standardized level of qualifications for each trade across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Or, one country.
While both provinces, let's just talk about Quebec and Ontario right now, they're both dying for journeymen. They're both dying for tradespeople. Hundreds and thousands of positions open for hiring, yet we will restrict people from going across the borders to be able to take on contracts in areas that need to be taken care of. I just don't get it. What the resistance is? This, Gary, is it the unions that are getting in the way here? I really don't know. I just don't get it.
I think more than anything, I don't think so much it's the unions, maybe to a degree. More than anything else, it's just government bureaucracy. Wasn't there one last year that came up for discussion about if you're running a truck through Ontario, the size of the tire, the maximum size or the minimum size of the tire or whatever, was different than what it was in other provinces? How does that make any sense?
It's a
Anyway.
tire. It rolls.
Yeah.
Right.
So, there are different things like that. And I know in New Brunswick a number of years ago, there was quite a row between Quebec and New Brunswick because we had a number of Quebec tradespeople coming into New Brunswick for some of the bigger projects at the time. But yet some tradespeople from New Brunswick that had at least a line on jobs here in Quebec couldn't come
that
in.
rings a bell, actually.
Yeah, couldn't come in and work here. So those sorts of things, and that's the kind of thing too, Eddie, that just kind of eats away at a country, and you start getting
Indeed.
ill feelings against one province or one group of people versus the others in the country, kind of thing. That doesn't promote unity by any stretch of the imagination, not at all. So to be moving in that direction, they've covered a fair amount of ground in the last 18 months, but we could move faster. Really, we
got to move faster. They have to, with a sense of urgency, Gary. This is not time for pitter patter. Let's get in the damn room and bring the people that need to be involved in the decision. Let's get the damn thing done. Whether it's trade of goods or trade of labor, free trade of labor. We're Canada, for crying out loud. Why do we make it so damn difficult?
And we've got all sorts of things to deal with: pipelines, energy corridors, electricity, our ports, manufacturing. Can our economic security finally override regional politics? And when you're talking regional politics, you get into the regional priorities. And I apologize for my throat; it's going on me again tonight, but we'll get through this. Atlantic Canada, exports, fisheries, smaller economies. In Ontario, auto manufacturing, supply chains. Alberta, energy access, pipelines. Here in Quebec, aerospace, aluminum, provincial autonomy. It all adds up. So can the premiers finally agree on something? That is the question. Or will Ottawa be negotiating while the provinces argue among themselves? Well, that's been the case far too often over the last 10 years or so. As a matter of fact, if you recall, the former prime minister very rarely called the premiers together, even during tougher times. Or if the premiers were having their Council of First Ministers annual meeting, like in Charlottetown or this week, Trudeau wouldn't attend.
No. And you mentioned 10 years, and Trudeau Trudeau Jr. came right to mind. Gary, that's very clearly leadership 101, which is on opposite ends of the scale between today's Liberal Party 2.0 under Carney versus Liberals 1.0 under a flailing Trudeau. Complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and you're absolutely right. The frequency or any level of intensity to promote interprovincial discussions to really discuss critical issues and get them resolved on behalf of the country, were pretty much next to none. Besides the conference calls that maybe Trudeau had regarding COVID and how to deal with it, anything more than that was very far and few between. So you're right on that point.
And then here's Carney. Yesterday, he had a virtual call with the premiers, and I think Dominic LeBlanc and a couple of the others, to update them on his conversation with Trump by phone. And then today, he has planned, he met with them in Charlottetown. And he was there last year, and he's brought them together a couple of times in the last 18 months. It's something you really never saw with Trudeau. Anyhow, trade strength abroad really starts with economic cooperation at home. Really, that's why it all matters. So, full marks to the premiers. They seem to be on board. They're speaking with a united voice. It's going to be interesting to see as the summer goes on in the separatist movement in Alberta is out banging on doors and promoting its message. And here in Quebec, of course, we're gearing up for a provincial election in early October. And if the party that still has the lead in the polls wins, is talking about a referendum in its first term, at some time in its 4-year term.
Yeah.
But beyond that, and I have to say, the clip we had of Frechette this evening, and a couple of other clips I saw of her over the last few days, I've been impressed with her stance.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very straightforward, businesslike, not backing away from it. Here it is, and then away she goes. So, Eddie, what's our takeaway?
Well, Gary, our takeaway is very simple. Canada cannot negotiate as 13 different economies. Simple as that.